G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute today. I'm joined by Mr. Algared, and below us in the little voice box is SniperFury. How you doing, Sniper?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm wearing a hat, Santa hat. How do you think I'm going? Right.
That's Santa Claus, and I just say bah humbug.
Yeah. All right. Well, after yesterday, you're known as Onion Boy from now on. You clearly didn't read the description, but that's fine. I now know you're going to go read the description. Right. Right, so we're doing an FMF. I've been bugged by a particular Nooblitz to get one of these done. Nooblitz knows who he is. He's been bugging me. He's telling me that he's watched every one of our videos 2 or 3 times over and he wants another one. So this
That's
one's
right.
in memory of Nooblitz before he passes... No, I'm just joking.
Before he passes away from starvation or boredom from not having an Inforunners.
So we'll kick it straight over to the browser. And you can talk us through this, Sniper. So what was your thoughts behind the X1? What was your reasoning for getting this little puppy?
I thought it would be a good way to do exploration on the ground with the Andromeda. Just put it in the cargo hold and use that to take it out and move around.
Okay. All right. M50.
That was racing, or at that time they were talking about stealth, and I thought that might be a good idea to use as a stealth or light fighter down the road. This is way, way back.
Interesting choice. Okay, no, I'm not questioning your life choices. That's fine. Gladiator.
I really like the idea of a bomber. It spoke to me as really had the kind of that World War II feel, and
It does have that.
yeah, and at the time the Retaliator had also come out, and there were people who were like, "That's the better bomber." And I said, "Well, you can field more Gladiators with one crew that would take to fill the Retaliator, so you're better off with the Gladiators because if you kill one crew, one Gladiator, you're only down one person."
Lore-wise,
you'd probably agree with that.
Gladiator is enshrined as the Lost Squad. So,
Would you agree with this, Algared, that there's a certain clunkiness to this ship that has an appeal? It's hard to explain. Like, you know, when you've got someone in the turret and the way you kind of get in and out of the ship, and yeah, it's got an antique feel to it.
it is certainly clunky. It does have that World War II dive bomber feel to it.
Yeah.
It did also have that ability to supposedly be able to take cargo instead of torpedoes at one point. I don't know if they're still going to go through with that. In lore, it was certainly used to deliver supplies and help evacuate people.
Yeah. All right. Well, long story short, it's got a certain feel to it that the other fighters don't have. So we've lingered too long. All right.
We did.
Saber, SniperFury, Saber.
I really liked the idea of stealth. I've been looking for stealth for a while. I liked that it had it, and I also remember at the time I felt like I needed more maneuverability than just the Hornet in terms of combat. That's kind of the reason why I went behind it. Stealth and a more maneuverable fighter.
And I've just realized my volume was down, so now everyone can hear me speak. God damn it. Anyway, we'll persist.
Yeah,
that's right. Super Hornet. Or is this... No, is this a Super Hornet? Or a normal Hornet? I can't tell. It's a Super Hornet.
Super Hornet. Super Hornet.
You got the turret on top.
Yeah. Thoughts behind that one, mate?
Heavy duty combat. That sucker had weapons to bear. It was also around the same time where they were talking about auto gimbal turrets, the weapon points, and I like the idea of that. I wanted to get in on that to have that as an ability just down the road. If I wanted to hop into a fighter, I had a heavy loaded one.
Okay. I think my thought on I'm gonna go back to Super Hornet. There's something I do want to say about this. This is probably going to be one of the most common ships in the game. Wouldn't you agree, Algared? Like fighter wise, like this is definitely going to show up in Squadron 42.
Yeah, well, I'm almost certain it's going to show up in Squadron 42. They needed to make the Idris big enough to take the Hornet. That's why the Idris had to grow. Besides, they were using the wrong Hornet when they were building it.
And I'd probably add that to these too, Algared. You're probably going to be able to earn these guys through that campaign as well. So that's just something that I wanted to bring to bear because it's not something we really ever talked about in that nature. All right, Hull series, Mr. Fury.
That was just cargo hauling if I felt like doing it. I felt the B was able to fill a niche because if I remember correctly at the time, the C and up were not going to be able to land on a planet.
Mhm.
And I thought the B would be able to find a niche in running up and down if I felt like doing some cargo hauling, and I could, fill a niche that wasn't really being filled.
Algared would probably agree with me. As the whole series go, this is one of those ones that's going to go from like a starter all the way. It scales really, really
Yeah.
well. Like what we see this kind of doing is going from stations to planet. Like that'll be your thing. So you can go to a space station that needs stuff transferred to the ground, and you can literally just run between it and the ground constantly, and make a bunch of money that way. Or, and then later on when you get, say you've got your big ass Kraken or whatever, you can also use it to do the same thing for your bigger ships.
Or even just supply your bigger ships from a station and just,
100%. Yeah. All right, Andromeda. Reason behind this, I think it's kind of a given, but I'll let you tell me anyway.
It was the first one I bought into. I just started a family, and I wanted to be able to.
Didn't we all? I think this is the most gateway ship in the entire game. Algared, this was your first one too, wasn't it?
It was my first ship, the Andromeda.
Wasn't my? I went from the Bounty Hunter pack on the Kickstarter to this, so that's kind of like. But most people is like, oh, that 4-player multi-crew dream. Yep. This is that ship that starts that for me.
This was the ship that started that multiplayer Star Trekking dream, I think. Yep.
Yeah. All right, and the Starfarer. What's your thoughts behind this one, buddy?
I thought it would be a good way to jump between cargo and moving other things around. This was before the hull B, and at that point, I just kind of had a thought of, hey, you know what? Get some ships that fill different niches, and I thought the Starfarer offered a good one. That's kind of why I looked at it.
So my question for you, that's the ships you originally got. What is it you wanted to do in game?
What you before we load that question, what did you tell us that you wanted to do in game? So in case he changed his mind.
Exploration, data mining, and combat.
Yeah. All right. So what me and Algared did, we kind of looked at what he had here, and one thing he did that I'll also add, but we'll add that up. We'll add that later. So we'll come back to that bit. But what we ended up going with was this. So he wanted, so we've consolidated his ships. We've turned the Andromeda into a Mercury Star Runner, which is the same type of thing, really, as the Andromeda, but it also gives him the Data Runner. Best exploration ship in the game, and probably the best Corvette in the game. That's how you'd probably call it too, Algared, wouldn't you? Or?
Yep.
And this is actually more than what he spent, though. So after we did all the math and all that, it's about
485, I think you were saying.
485. I've got the calculator right here. I know I closed it. Yeah, but about $485 all up. That's one when he moves everything into the Polaris and then carries a few things over. Now, he did give us his fleet here in an Excel sheet. To make long story short, he's already got an Andromeda MSR for 35, so he's already got that. He saved a few things here with things like the M50, where he bought it at $80 and it's now worth $100. He obviously got the Starfarer at $175 and it's now worth $300. And then he's also got, say, something like the Hull B for $75 and it's worth.
And that's been CCU'd up, so that's a ship that he doesn't want to melt because he'll lose money. And
so what he did talk about doing, though, was it was saying that he might want to get another Starfarer in the future. So because this M50 is an original concept, he can melt that and buy it back at $80, and there's another way just to save a little bit of money when he comes back up, if he does want to get a Starfarer in the future. All right. Yeah, I think that's kind of everything. Are you kind of happy with that, how all turned out, Sniper Wolf? Are you kind of... Give us your thoughts.
I am happy with it. I think it fulfills the idea that we'd had, or that I had liked, where you guys were talking about how you can grind down and it's easier and it's funner instead of grinding up. I think you definitely fulfill that with this fleet, and it does give me the all-around still with the Mercury Star Runner. My only thing is Polaris is a pretty big combat ship. I'm not hesitant, but I understand and I like that idea, but I'm just still warming up to it, I think.
Okay. No, we get
So
that a lot.
your concern there is the crew requirements, isn't it?
Yeah, that is my concern.
But you know you can take any of those two bigger ships, so the Carrack or the Polaris, and you can relatively quickly, let's say a smaller one, so let's say a Redeemer for argument's sake, you can use those two to fairly quickly earn a Redeemer in game, and then you would have your smaller one. Yeah, and that's the whole concept. It's basically just maximizing your dollar value, and because it's going to be harder to go, say, from a Redeemer up to one of these, but it's a lot easier to go from one of these down to a.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the primary thing that I like, and you guys talk a lot of sense with that. And it's one thing to know it; it's another thing to kind of wrap your head around it a little bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hear what we say and they just say you guys are just hate fighters and hate the small ships, and it's not that we hate them. It's just that in terms of bang for buck, earning up is going to be a killer. It's a grind, and if you want to avoid the grind, the best way is to get the bigger ships that you can afford or that you want, and then use those to earn the cash or earn the credits to work your way down. And even if an Aurora goes up the price 5 times, 6 times the price that it is now, the bigger ships are still going to go up by 5, 6 times the price. And so it's still, regardless of what the price ends up being, it's still going to be easier to earn down than it is to earn up. And that's generally the theory.
So, other than the concerns with the Polaris, do you have any concerns with the Carrack or the Mercury Star-Runner?
I do not at all.
All right. Cool. All right. That's good.
No, well, I think those two. I think those two ships really. Sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say those to the Mercury and the Carrack really do fit into those first two gameplay loops that he was really interested in. And
that's the third one, which is the combat. So he literally said, exploration, where there's your Carrack, combat, Polaris, and your data runner, and that covers all three right there. This is obviously going to be one of the biggest and baddest in the game. Like, it's probably going to be the most popular capital ship combat-wise in the game, because of it's the smallest capital, and therefore it's kind of bigger, but not as expensive as other capitals to run. So I do get his concerns, because you probably are going to need about, I believe it's 8 to 10. It's been a little while since I read up on the Polaris, so I need to do that again. But if you can, you might not even take it out. You've still got the Carrack there that you can use to earn smaller ships. But if you do, join an org and you've got 10 people, you've got it there. And that's it's going to be so much harder to earn big ships. It's crazy how much work it's going to take to actually earn a Kraken, as opposed to, like, people like kind of worry now. It's like, oh, it's $1,600 to buy a credit or whatever, or $1,400. But the effort and time will probably be multiplied by 10. It's going to probably. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's always a concern, just earning those ships in game and the cost and time it's going to take you. And a lot of older players certainly don't want to do that. We've done our grind through MMOs in the past, so.
What were you saying too about fighters, Algared? I find it really funny, because I do play with fighters quite a bit. Like, I'm one of the first people that unlocked the pirate caterpillar skin. And how did I get that? That you have to complete the pirate swarm to get the pirate thing.
Yeah.
So how else did I do it? So
we went through pirate swarm in P52s and
and weird stuff like that. I remember, like, I got all the way to the last wave in a P52. Like, and do you know how long that took? That was like 3 hours. Like, that's a long slog. Because that thing is not powerful. But yeah, we do like fighters, but you've got to, like, when it comes to this, we often have to take ourselves out of the entire equation and kind of look at it in a really broad picture. And that's a really hard thing to do, because if you're invested in something, it's hard to be unbiased. And that's one of the reasons we do a lot of this stuff in groups, is because it keeps us unbiased. We self-check each other. And that just makes the information better. All right, Sniper Wolf, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there. Short and sweet. Oh, I called you Sniper Wolf. It's SniperFury. I'm doing the Piggles thing again. Right.
Anyway. It's all right.
All right. So yeah. So you're all happy with that. You've got a plan to move forward. We've talked to you about how you can move forward as well, and hopefully, when do you reckon you'd probably be able to get this in? Do you reckon Invictus you might be able to get this working for you? Because it is going to take a little while, obviously.
Yeah, I'm thinking Invictus is what I'm shooting for. That's really where my goal that I'm looking at is trying to get it done by then.
Yep. That sounds like an obtainable goal. All right. You want to sign us out, Algared?
Yep. So if you like what we do, don't forget, hit that like button, hit the bell, leave your comments. Do you think we're on the right track here? Have we led SniperFury down a garden path? Have we mugged him in the alleyway? Or have we given him the tools and the right advice? Leave your comments. We do read every comment. Sniper, I'm sure, would be keen to see what you guys say as well. Just remember, be polite, be respectful.
I expect to see a comment from Nooblets. There better be a comment from Nooblets.
Saying,
you'll get a comment from me, Nooblet, if I don't get a comment from you. You heard me. Right, anyway. All right.
So there's that. And also join us on Discord. We are there. It is fairly active. And
we actually have, after we made comments about one of the other FMS, we're now actually getting people handing us ones to deal with, which is great. So they're not getting all snaffled up anymore as well, which is great to see. So they actually are looking for the one. No, like it's gone to another level now, where before they were just helping people. Now they're like, oh, this is an interesting one that we can use as a learned case. So it's all kind of gone up a level now, which I find really interesting and cool. Yeah. All right. With that, then, he's been Algared. He's been the voice in the void, SniperFury. I've been Execute.
He's been Santa Claus.
Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you all. Actually, we'll probably do another one next week. Actually, don't know about FMS. We'll probably do another episode, so we won't see you in the new year. We'll see you next week, but we'll see you after Christmas. So have a good Christmas.
Yeah.
Catch you in the next one.
And we're out of here.